Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about the first 100 days of the Trump administration and what we can expect. There have been a number of promises made by Trump that suggest their top priorities for his term. Things he said he'll do on day one. Some that are based on executive order are things that he can get done quickly. Not really the first day, but the first couple of weeks for sure. Others require legislative action, and that's where it's going to get tricky. So, we're going to run through some of his promises and try to figure out what the actual plan is. It's important to remember that Trump is very vague about policy and has a flair for overstating. There might be things that seem like they would require legislation that really he's going to do with a far less encompassing executive order. When politicians say day one, they normally mean in the first 100 days. What can we expect? Okay, let's start with student debt. He says he's going to roll back Biden's plans. A whole lot of that is going to be done with a pen stroke. It's unclear if he can unforgive debt the Biden administration was successful in forgiving. I would expect legal battles. Rolling back Biden's infrastructure projects. In theory, a lot of this is also a pen stroke away, but it gets more complicated than that. Much of the money is already committed. Stopping that's going to be hard. Expect legal battles. There's a whole list of tax proposals he wants to push through. This has to go through Congress. It's not going to be as easy as he might think. There are a bunch of various factions within the Republican Party that have very different priorities. His appointments. That's going to be a mess in the Senate, and he may end up expending too much political capital here and make the other promises harder to fulfill. Spending cuts. Also going through Congress. Trump has said he wants to do something about the deficit and national debt. That's going to be much harder than he thinks. At some point, somebody will have to explain to him the economic impact of each cut. Even if nobody can get through to Trump, those in Congress know the effects and are likely to try to curtail his worst impulses. There's room for cuts, but not in the way Trump has suggested he wants to go about it. The Department of Education. Trump has suggested he wants to get rid of it. The vote counts on this are unclear because, as we talked about before, there are multiple plans. They have different levels of support. Okay, tariffs. We've talked about this at length. Most of this is a pen stroke, but he seems to be backing down from the most extreme promises. Keep in mind, it's Trump, so he could easily change his mind again. His foreign policy promises are mostly things he can do without Congress. The thing about those promises is that they aren't plans so much as goals. There's no indication of how he actually intends to fulfill his grand promises, with the notable exception of putting a lot of pressure on Iran. Slashing environmental and workplace regulations. He can start the process with a pen stroke, but it takes time. Expect legal battles. Remaking the military. Civilian control of the military is a foundational cornerstone of the U.S. However, the military is an institution reluctant to change. He can order a lot of cultural changes on day one, but they won't occur on day one, or even year one. He can disrupt the chain of command and remove generals for partisan reasons pretty quickly, though. The stock market. He's indicated he wants to really push the stock market up. Not really sure how he intends to do that, or if he's been briefed on how it certainly appears that the stock market is severely overvalued right now. Any attempt to artificially push the market higher might backfire. This is one that I actually think he'll back off of once he gets the information. He does understand the market enough to know that we're already playing with fire. There's obviously more, but they're the front page items that don't really need a recap here. Anyway, It's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.